are such a fucking idiot. I considered sending you a reasonable, civil adult message, but I've done that so many times over the years, it is pointless. Over and over, you have chosen to create a pretty image for yourself instead of lifting a single finger to actually change anything real. After you had the blessing of me coming to you and laying out exactly what your children needed from you and how you could have a better connection with them, you chose not to. For 41 fucking years, you have consistently chosen to ignore anyone who has ever told you or warned you about anything out of their own concern, because they're not singing your praises or kissing your ass. That fact is not changing. So why the fuck would I ever be kind to you again? Be sure to save this, so when you're an old man sitting alone in your house with nothing and no one, and your memory of your last interaction with human beings who give a fuck about you has faded, you'll be able to read it again and have your mind refreshed as to exactly why that is. Oh, wait, I shouldn't say house, because you won't have one. Just whatever Craigslist room rental you'll be staying in at the time. Why is it always the most broke-ass, pathetic-ass men that are the most worried about being taken advantage of financially? You have 3 children for whom you have not had a home since you've been single and on your own. I will speak specifically about A and L now, but a lot of it applies across the board. They have had no bedrooms of their own, no belongings at your house, no toiletries, no toys, no health insurance, no groceries. You've had no need to make sure that your schedule works around their daily needs. No school payments, no assignment checking, no tutoring, no mental space taken up by their appointments, struggles, discipline, relationship building, needs, wants, interests, planning for their future. Even when you did have a home for them to go to and routines that made them feel like they had any semblance of family with you, it was not your physical, mental, or emotional labor that made that happen. It was the work of women. From your mother to me, to T to S, to your attempts with L. Continuing on, your weaponized incompetence and constant insistence that your life is just too stressful with too much going on to even attempt to be half the person these women have stepped up to be in your place, are now just a couple of your chickens coming home to roost. How dare you have shit to say about any of the consequences of your own actions over decades? If you do, look in the mirror and say it to your fucking inadequate self. old so that you could feel better about being a fucking bum. You don't even know how many bills or trips to the dentist, doctor, or store have been paid for without bothering to let you know. And you want to act worried about being taken advantage of. You've been up, what, a handful of times in the middle of the night to care for a child who needed it. Out of how many years? And you want to say a single word about them taking advantage of you by asking you for money because that's the only relationship you've cultivated with them. You want to give them $50 each for Christmas on Visa gift cards that you bought on Christmas Eve, or the following year. You want to give them postcards from your trip to Italy with your child bride, postcards that have photos of skeletons on them, some of which are child skeletons. For Christmas, you want to give your children absolutely nothing except for postcards with pictures of dead people on them. And you say you don't want to be taken advantage of by literal children. Are you fucking stupid or just evil? Or so fucking stupid you've become evil because it's easier on your tiny smooth brain. You will send our children anything they ask for. You will do whatever they need you to do. They begged for a connection with you for their entire childhoods, and your response has only ever been to say that you need to, quote-unquote, process the information, only to pretend it never happened, to respond with the point-by-point deflection about why everything they feel is wrong, or when you're too put on the spot to do either of those things, to instead start crying like a little bitch so that you can become the victim and your children will feel guilty for even bringing up their own needs. That's your modus operandi with everyone, really. Does it ever get old? Even for you? You have never cared for them when they were sick. You sent them away. You have never gotten them ready for a recital or performance. You have never inconvenienced yourself or were woken up at a time you didn't want to because they needed it. You have never walked with them through any struggle or uncertainty they've had. You have never had a tough conversation with them for their well-being. You have never checked on them without making it about yourself. You have never paid for their assessments and therapists totaling thousands of dollars. So now, no one is taking advantage of you, you complete imbecile. You are just so used to not being a father to them at all that you don't know what it takes to have someone depend on you. funded and allowed you to start your own business. The business that you 100% took with you when we got divorced. The settlement that is supposed to exist to cover me for my own chronic pain and injuries and future medical needs from events I experienced before you and I had even met. The settlement that has only dwindled more every year because of all of that. That one. Why the fuck has my financial situation even crossed your mind? Much less left your lips. Much less in front of my children. Even one single time. Especially, why has it crossed your mind when the discussion is your management of money and your lack of financial provision for your children? Because you're a weak little bitch who is incapable of taking responsibility for anything in your life, and you cannot stop yourself from always blaming or bringing up a woman. Yeah, it's probably that. You don't know what I do for work. You don't know what I've sacrificed for my children. You don't know how much children even cost. You don't know my financial concerns. And you don't get to use anyone else's hypothetical, imaginary financial situation as any sort of excuse as to why you are not shit, or why you don't think you should have to cover your own children financially when they need it. The money you do send each month is gone after barely covering their most basic needs. Your bird brain thinks, well, your mom takes care of your physical and emotional needs and every other need, so she seems like she really has enough to go around. Meanwhile, me over here, I'm just so strapped and stressed, and I have so much going on that I don't think I need to contribute as much. Y'all got this looking ass loser. So now, in this life scenario you have created, if anyone asks you for money, they are taking advantage of you. Nah, what we won't do is let that shit slide. You've done nothing but take advantage of other people your entire adult life. Let that stupid fucking thought cross your mind again at your own fucking peril. If you don't feel humiliated at the thought of having told your children that you're unsure of sending them minuscule amounts of money they have asked for because you are worried about being taken advantage of, dude, just wrap it up. There's no hope for you. In all of your fake ass searching for enlightenment bullshit, nothing has penetrated what must be an impossibly thick skull and an impossibly profuse ego. You've confused delusion with enlightenment because it feels good to believe your own lies about how transcendent you are, and it lets you off the hook. You're clinging to the delusion that no one is as evolved as you, and that's why you're right. have used women your entire adult life to build homes and relationships you could claim without having to invest in. Then you have shit on those women, lied to those women, and blamed those women for your own problems when you're ready to go pick up another new woman and start the process over. At 41, I'm sure it has gotten pretty difficult to find a woman your own age who will fall for a man with your fake image and who will put up with your half-assed bullshit, your lies, your excuses, your self-centered total lack of true masculinity, your lack of life skills, your willful ignorance, and your embarrassing ego. So, it only makes sense that you'd become the stereotype and prey on young women who don't yet know better. You will eventually become the lesson that embitters her toward men, rightfully so, and the cycle will continue. Have you ever noticed that your empathy and compassion only extend to bad people who don't deserve it, particularly males? I used to wonder why that is, but now it makes sense to me. The only people I have ever known to do that have always turned out to be just as bad themselves as the people they insisted on empathizing with. Why do detectives always ask their suspects what they think should happen to the person who did the crime? The suspect usually answers with some level of empathy for the perpetrator, and the perpetrator turns out to be them. From your children, your friends, your former employees, your exes. Anytime anyone has come to you with this story of how they have been wronged, how they have been hurt, how they have feelings over something, your first instinct is to step right over the person in front of you and focus on the person who did the wrong. You have shown more care and concern for them than the people who are actually in your life. And then you pat yourself on the back for it, which is even more gross. You have openly defended child molesters, domestic abusers, and predators, even those who have perpetrated crimes against people you are supposed to look out for, and you think you're better than others for having done so. Again, you're a fucking idiot. There's no way around it. You have pushed your children away because in every instance of them seeking connection with you, you have centered yourself, or even centered the person they're trying to tell you has hurt them in some way. When they have shared their interest, you have centered your own, or blown them off as unimportant or even annoying. They have even tried to gain connection by adopting interests that they knew you already had. You blew them off and repeatedly forgot there was even a shared interest there, or stopped including them when it was no longer convenient. All of your years of pointless searching for some nebulous spiritual fulfillment has really just been a search for something to make you feel better than, without having to actually acknowledge your own darkness and make changes to it. All the years trying so hard to avoid truly acknowledging where you're fucked up, and instead sloppily covering it up with fake spirituality, bullshit diets, and idiotic lifestyles has has only wasted your money and buried your shadow so deep down that you have become self-obsessed instead. Oh, and now you've supposedly done just enough therapy to know some terminology and be able to tell yourself that you're doing better in life than you ever have. When you're really at a point that for any mature, thoughtful, compassionate person would be absolute crisis mode, rock bottom. The amount of time, money, and focus you have wasted on the most selfish and pointless snake oil schemes, only to get to your age and never have faced an actual challenge head on in your life, and never have grown as a person even a little bit, must be so humiliating for you. You don't even have to know it yourself. Believe me, everyone else knows it. That's why the only thought process you can manage now is to believe that you are right and everyone else is wrong. LMAO. You suck as a son as much as you suck at everything else. How dare you even involve your parents about your predatory and ephemophilic choices? You did so solely to benefit yourself, although I'm sure you're already mentally denying that the second you read it. Your level of self-obsession is such that you didn't even look at everything your parents have gone through recently and think, maybe they don't need this added stress. You have prioritized the feeling of relief you get when you hear any word of support from your parents over saving their hearts, saving their cortisol levels, saving their emotions. You have prioritized your desire to be able to flaunt your daughter girlfriend over making any sort of minuscule sacrifice to save your parents' feelings. And then you continue to involve them. You are 41 years old. Leave your parents out of it. What the fuck is wrong with you? Don't even think about expressing any of this to them. Handle your own shit and keep all of our names out of your fucking mouth when you talk to your parents. If you can't speak directly to me or to your children about something, then don't speak at all about any of us to anyone. Over the years, you haven't ever thought, maybe I should take over yard work for my parents. Maybe I should grab food for my parents. Maybe I should shovel snow or salt sidewalks for my parents. Maybe I should clean the bathroom or the kitchen for my parents. Maybe I should have groceries sent to my parents. You have never once thought, what could I do to take stress and responsibility off my parents' shoulders and make life easier for them? And then actually done it. while you watch your children and mother do yard work without even having the thought cross your mind that maybe you should get off your ass and be masculine or a role model in some way. Imagine your teenage son, still a child, being so much more of a man than you that even he is shocked and embarrassed by the way you take and take and take from your parents without ever giving anything back. Even as you watch them age and face life-threatening illness and enter a time when they should be enjoying their days and experiencing zero stress from their adult son. Of course, somewhere deep in your subconscious, you are filled with shame. And of course, when the choice is either facing yourself and experiencing that shame, or surrounding yourself with people who are easily manipulated or who will kiss your ass and praise you right where you are, you will choose the latter. You're too weak to choose anything else. I have not even touched the part where you're a chronic liar and a cheater. If you haven't already lied repeatedly to the poor baby who has found herself attached to you for the moment, I hope she knows it's coming. I hope you know that plenty of predators and manipulators don't consciously know that's what they are. Being unaware or in denial just because you're stupid doesn't mean you're not a predator or a manipulator. You were a predator apologist for years. It was only a matter of time. Look, your children are not going to come around. They are not going to accept this. They know better. You better be fucking honest with yourself and everyone around you that you are consciously choosing a relationship with someone young enough to be your child over relationships with your actual children. That is what you are doing, period. You can only deflect your children's experiences with or feelings about you so many times over the years before there is a long trail of unhealed wrongs that you thought would just disappear. And then there is eventually a final straw. You are choosing a relationship with the person basically A's age, who you met when she was even younger, is not just one more thing your children are going to let you move on from without mentioning anymore, while they quietly deal with the anger from their unresolved hurt forever. Hey, no one is required to put up with the way you treat them and their feelings, especially not your children. As much as you have thought that you've had, quote-unquote, a lot going on right now for the last couple of decades somehow, you're about to find out a lot more about what actual life and actual consequences are. I was nice to you for way too long. You got off the hook so many times over the years because of my undeserved kindness toward you. This and your statement to my child that you don't want to be taken advantage of by them have been my final straws. I won't be kind to you again. I'm sure if anyone hears or reads or sees also carry the weight and be the adult so that you can continue to act like a total shithead. The end of that, you'll slowly find yourself surrounded by people who are so mean to you. Poor you. If you're going to show this to anyone, if you show it to your parents, you're a true piece of shit, so I'm sure you will. Please show the entire thing. Don't edit a single bit. Lastly, no one is jealous of you. Ew. You're an embarrassment. Literally no one outside of your entourage envies anything about you or your life. The idea of that is actually hilarious.